Good evening. I am Armando Cuellar Jr., President of the Weslaco ISD Board of Trustees. This regular board meeting is being conducted pursuant to Governor Greg Abbott's suspension of certain open meeting law requirements to the extent necessary to allow for telephonic and video conference meetings in response to COVID-19. Notice of this meeting has been posted online for at least 72 hours. The board is meeting by the use of Google Meets and telephone transmission, which allows two-way communication for members of the public during public comments. A recording of this meeting is being made and will be available to the public at a later date. The time now is 6:01, and I call this meeting to order. I will now begin roll call by polling each board member. Present, Mr. Isidoro Nieto.
Present.
Mrs. Jackie Sustaita.
Present.
Mrs. Jackie Sustaita.
Present.
She raised her hand, Coach.
She raised her hand?
Yes, so I think she can hear her.
Okay. I see.
She's present.
Coach Epi.
Present.
Dr. Jaime.
Present.
Mr. Los Santos Mark.
Present.
Mr. Andrew Gonzalez.
Here.
And myself, Armando Cuellar Jr. We have a full quorum. Let the record reflect that we have a quorum present. Item number 3, opening prayer. Dr. Canales.
Board of Trustees, the opening prayer will be led by Lucia Portillo, a health science teacher from Weslaco High School. Ms. Portillo.
Hello. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the accomplishments of 2020. We thank you for this day and for every blessing bestowed upon us.
Ms. Portillo, 1 second. We need to open the mic.
Okay.
Apologize for that, ma'am.
Can I go? May I start again?
Test the mic.
Hello? Hello?
We can hear you. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the accomplishments of 2020. We thank you for this day and for every blessing bestowed upon us. We thank you for the gift of life, but most of all, we thank you for your love. We bring you the pain of those that have lost friends and family members. We hold them in our prayers and we entrust their families to you, and we ask that you carry them in their difficult moments. We come humbly before you to ask for all your graces and blessings today as we plan for all our students, parents, staff, and employees. Please open every part of our being to fully receive all your graces and blessings. Lord, may everything we think, say, or do always be for your greater honor and glory, and for the betterment of the Weslaco ISD community. We praise you, we thank you for hearing our prayers, and we ask all this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Ms. Portillo. Item 4, Pledge of Allegiance, Texas Pledge. Dr. Canales.
Board of Trustees, Natalie Estrada is a senior at Weslaco High School. It is currently the Weslaco Panther Corps head drum major. She is the daughter of Pedro Estrada and Yolanda Cifuentes. Natalie plays the B-flat clarinet, bass clarinet, and she is a member of the Honors Band. She is also an active participant in the National Honor Society and Science National Honor Society, and is currently ranked among the top 6% of the graduating class of 2021. Natalie plans to attend the University of Houston and major in dance to become a dance studio owner. So our Pledge of Allegiances for this evening will be led by Natalie Estrada. Ms. Estrada, thank you for joining us.
Hello. Natalie, whenever you're ready, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Um, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, and liberty and justice for all.
Texas Pledge, Natalie. Texas Pledge. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, and one indivisible.
Indivisible. Sorry, I got nervous.
Thank you, Natalie.
Thank you, Natalie. Item 5, awards and recognitions. Dr. Canales.
Board of Trustees, we have a couple of recognitions this evening. One of them for our Wildcats football team, and this recognition will be led by Mr. Robledo. Mr. Robledo.
Thank you, Dr. Canales. We want to congratulate the Weslaco East High School Wildcats football team for their outstanding season. The Wildcats have now been in the playoffs for 14 straight years, one shy of a Valley record. The team went undefeated and outscored their opponents 184 points to 37 to claim the district title. Weslaco East continued winning by beating Victoria East 26-23 in the by-district game, and the Wildcats won back-to-back district and by-district titles for 2019 and the 2020 season. We would like to congratulate these young men and the coaches as well, and we're going to recognize them and also announce some honors for the football team. We'll start off with some team members. We have Adrian Juarez, Saul Garcia, Giancarlo Ortiz, Rolly Ramos, Prospero Garcia, Joseph Campos, Isaiah Espinosa, Jared Perez, Zayden Montes, Eric Tamez, George Guajardo, Tristan Montes, Pablo Gonzalez, Sebastian Caballero, Robin Gutierrez, Devin Mata, Joseph Perez, Isaac Gonzalez, Stephen Garza, Jose Zavala, Carlos Rodriguez, Bo Burgett, Nate Martinez, Kelvin Flores, Aiden Zavala, Gabriel Villarreal. Several players won distinctions, earning 16 5A Division I All-District honors. We'll start from the defense, earning honorable mentions. We have Noe Castillo, defensive lineman, honorable mention. Joe Lugo, outside linebacker. Carlos Roman, secondary. Pedro Espinosa at kicker. Marcus Garza at tackle. Ivan Ordonez, tackle. And Diego Ruiz at linebacker. Those are our honorable mentions. Let's take a look at some all-district second-team honors. Players on the defensive side, we have Silver Rangel, inside linebacker. At safety, Josiah Chavarin. These players were recognized for first-team all-district honors. We'll start on the defensive line. Defensive lineman Rodrigo Puentes. Defensive lineman Josué Morales. Defensive end Jonathan Granados, first team. Defensive end Leo Guerra. Inside linebacker Jordan Velasquez, also on the first team. And secondary, we have Johnny Barrera. At safety, first team all-district, Sean Martinez. The defensive newcomer of the year, we'd like to proudly announce, is Jesse James Garcia. And the defensive most valuable player, Giovanni Barrera. Congratulations to the defensive players. The following players are from the offensive side. We'll start off with our honorable mention distinctions. In 16 5A Division I, we'll start off with quarterback punter, Javi Garza. Offensive tackle, Iram Cantu. Receiver, Sergio Martinez. Quarterback, Ashton Guajardo. Fullback, Jesus Vargas. And fullback, Julius Gonzalez. Players to receive second team all-district honors. Offensive guard, Julian Gonzalez. Tight end, David Trevino. Receiver, Omari Bowen. Utility player, Jay Vasquez. Players on the first team, all-district honors. We'll start off with offensive center, Zeke Negrete. Offensive guard, Marco Ochoa. Offensive tackle, Robert Torres. Receiver, Edward Villalobos. Fullback, John Valadez. And at tailback, Gio Guerra. The District 16 5A Division I Offensive Lineman of the Year goes to Pedro Posadas. Congratulations, Pedro. And the offensive most valuable player for District 16 5A Division 1 is Avery Bowen. Congratulations, Avery. And Coach of the Year for the district is head coach Michael Burgett. Congratulations. Coach Burgett would also like to thank his coaching staff for the great effort they put forth this year. Coaches had to double up their efforts, not only with coaching on the field, but also with COVID-19 risk mitigation duties, because the staff was short 3 varsity coaches this year. These men definitely did a great job picking up the slack. Thank you, coaches, from Coach Burgett. Coach Burgett would also like to thank the athletic training staff, Javi Banuelos, Tony Munoz, and Gladys Sosa, for the hard work they did every day taking care of the athletes and dealing with COVID-19 related issues. Congratulations once again, Weslaco East Wildcats, on a fantastic season.
Congratulations. And there were 2 milestones that were not mentioned in there. First of all, this is the first year that Weslaco East finished the regular season undefeated. That's a first. And congratulations to Coach Burgett, who is now the all-time winningest coach at Weslaco East. So for all the success and everything, to each and every one of the members, coaches, the whole program, congratulations for a job well done. Anybody else? Coach City?
No, just congratulations, Wildcats. Keep up the good work.
Any other comments?
Hey, Coach Burgett, your entire team, all the students and parents, congratulations, another winning season. And I hear next year we're breaking a Valley record. I think we're 1 year shy from it.
The bar has been set. Okay. Next item is the A+ Employee of the Month, Dr. Khan.
Mr. Robledo will lead us to this part. We started the A+ Employee of the Month this school year, and I believe this is our 4th one. So Mr. Robledo.
Well, this month, the recipient of the WISD A+ Award is someone who has worked tirelessly behind the scenes to provide our students with the most essential needs. When our district shut down last spring, this individual quickly mobilized her staff to ensure meal services to our students were not disrupted. As the shutdown stretched into weeks, the summer feeding program kicked in, helping many families who were impacted financially as the COVID restrictions continued. She did everything possible to ensure that thousands of students would have access to meals with curbside service and school bus deliveries. As COVID severely limited social gatherings, she took the initiative, and our employees were able to enjoy our Thanksgiving tradition. Despite the long hours of coordinating and limited staff, her attention to detail and positive attitude has always come through. From the district's Food and Nutrition Services Department, the Employee of the Month is Miss Dora Peña. Congratulations, Dora.
Thank you. Thank you. very much.
Congratulations, Dora. Well done.
Thank
Move on. Item 6, recognition of WISD School Board of Trustees. Dr. Canales.
Board of Trustees, every year we have the honor of saluting all of you for your work. We know that you don't do this job, anything with any reason but heart for attaining our district goals and making the best decisions for students and for staff. You do it for free without pay, and we appreciate that. So the month of January is School Board Recognition Month. And leading us through this recognition, I'd like to thank, before we started, Mr. Garcia, Ms. Munoz, Ms. Samantha Hawley, and the entire team at KWES and Communication, along with Dr. Sergio Garcia, who organized this event every single year for our district. So Board of Trustees, this is about you. Carlos Robledo, let's lead him through the recognition.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's a privilege that we honor our school board members today. January is School Board Recognition Month, and we want to take the time to acknowledge their service to our school district. On behalf of our superintendent and all our departments and campuses, we present these plaques and gift baskets as tokens of appreciation. And I believe Dr. Garcia is there in the boardroom to hand out the plaques and gift baskets. And
We have them ready, and we have Ms. Hawley.
ready to go. All ready to go. All right. We'll start off with President Armando Cuellar Jr. Coach Cuellar began his service. Well, this is his 3rd year of school board service. President Armando Cuellar Jr. Up next, we'd like to recognize Vice President of the School Board, Dr. Jaime Rodriguez, who has completed 4 years of school board service. Dr. Rodriguez, congratulations. Thank you. We'd also like to recognize Board Secretary Jesse Trevino, recently elected to place 1. Serving for 6 years, Trustee Andrew Gonzalez. Serving for 6 years on the school board, Isidoro Nieto, Trustee. Recently elected to place 2, Marcos de los Santos. Recently elected to place 3, Ms. Jacqueline Sustaita. Thank you very much, board members, for your service.
And Board of Trustees, each campus created a sign that you can see around the beautifully decorated boardroom. The theme this year was Navigating to Success, and it's always sailing towards the success of our students. So all these beautiful signs, these posters are for you, Board of Trustees. Thank you so much for what you do day in and day out to promote our District 5 goals, our mission, and our vision. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you all for the acknowledgement, and we do this because it's our passion, and on my behalf, it's been an honor to work with the trustees that were here, and now working with the new trustees, and look forward to a lot of really good things for WISD. Thank you all. Item number 7, proclamation for National Guidance and Counseling Week, February 1 through 5, 2021. Dr. Canales.
Board of Trustees, this is our only proclamation for this month, and it's an important one. It's for our school counselors and for the guidance and counseling that they do throughout the year, and I mean throughout the year. So I'll go ahead and read the proclamation. Whereas school counselors are employed in our schools to help students reach their full potential. And whereas school counselors are actively committed to helping students explore their abilities, strengths, interests, and talents as these traits relate to career awareness and development. And whereas school counselors help parents focus in ways to further the educational, personal, and social growth of their children. And whereas school counselors work with teachers and other educators to help students explore the potential and set realistic goals for themselves. And whereas comprehensive developmental school counseling programs are considered an integral part of the educational process that enables all students to achieve success in school and prepare for post-secondary education. Therefore, our board president, Mr. Armando Cuellar, does hereby support and proclaim February 1st through 5th, 2021, National Guidance and Counseling Week. It's our proclamation, Mr. President.
And we're very, very thankful for everything that our counseling department does year in, year out. And, without your support and your expertise, a lot of our students wouldn't have the direction that is so important. So for everything you've done, everything you do, thank you very much. Any comments from Dr. Jaime?
Coach, same, thank you, counselors, for going above and beyond. I know sometimes you get asked to do much more than we normally would do, but appreciate everything that you all do, and thank you very much.
Coach Jesse?
No, I just want to thank all the counseling staff for all the work that they are doing and have done. I know this, especially in this year, with all the planning and so forth. Just we appreciate your hard work.
Thank you. Mrs. Susaita? Yes.
Can you hear me? Okay, good. I just want to thank the counselors, especially, I have a lot of friends and family members that are counselors, and they put a lot of time and hours into what they do. It's their passion. They love it. So it doesn't go unnoticed. We appreciate what you do. Thank you so much.
Okay, Mr. Nieto?
Actually, counselors do a lot for all students. And actually, the counselors are my favorite group of all groups. I shouldn't say that, but they are, because they work day in and day out with students with different situations that they have. So counselors, again, I echo the sentiments of the other board members. Great job.
Thank you. Commissioner Gonzalez?
Thank you, Coach. Yes, again, thank you to all our counselors that currently are going through these tough times and these children that still need the help. For all your efforts and that you do to reach out to them and their families. We thank you tremendously, tremendously. Thank you so much.
And Mr. Los Santos?
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to say thank you for all your hard work, all the time and effort that they're putting in, like everyone's saying right now with COVID-19 and all the situations with their academics, and not only that, but there may be psychosocial issues that they're dealing with. So they're going above and beyond this year, and thank you very much for everything that you do.
And again, thank you, thank you, thank you. Now we go to item number 8, public comments. I understand we have one.
President Cuellar, you have one. His name is Juan Guajardo. Mr. Guajardo, you're online?
Yes, thank you. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, we can, Mr. Guajardo. I have something to read before we give you the floor.
Absolutely, sir.
Pursuant to the Texas Open Meeting Act, the Board of Trustees may not deliberate on any comment made by a member of the public on a subject that is not included on the agenda posted with notice of this meeting. As per the Texas Attorney General, the scope of board discussions for a subject not part of the meeting, let's see. The scope of board, here we go. Discussion of a subject not part of the meeting agenda is limited to only a proposal by a board member to place the subject on a future board agenda. Specific factual information or recitation of existing policy may be furnished in response to inquiries, but the board shall not deliberate or decide regarding any subject that is not included on the agenda posted with notice of the meeting. Audience participation at a board meeting is limited to the portion of the meeting designated for that purpose. At all other times during a board meeting, the audience shall not enter into discussion or debate on matters being considered by the board, unless recognized by the presiding officer. No public comment presentation shall exceed 5 minutes. Any disruptive behavior by any speaker may result in the speaker's removal from participation in the meeting. Please be mindful of using names or personally identifiable information, as there is no immunity from defamatory comments while participating in public comments. State your name and address, please.
My name is Rene Guajardo. I live at 500 West 16th Street in the great city of Weslaco, Texas.
Thank you.
And I promise that I'll stay within the 5 minutes, Mr. Cuellar.
Thank you, sir. Coach Trevino will keep time. He will let you know at the 4-minute mark when you have a minute left. You may proceed.
Sure. Good evening, Dr. Priscilla Canales, Superintendent of Schools, Mr. Armando Cuellar, Board President, and all Board of Trustees, and all our community. Again, my name is Rene Guajardo, and I am a proud member that serves on the South Texas College Board. Since my areas cover Weslaco, it is my esteemed pleasure to extend our most sincere appreciation for the consummate work being accomplished at Weslaco ISD. It truly is an honor to see your continued motivation and dedication as we find ways to combat this pandemic. Even though I understand firsthand the many challenges the entire state faces, I still see our Weslaco ISD administration, teachers, and staff's resiliency in providing a top education to our students in our community. Each January, South Texas College recognizes the dedication and leadership of partnering school boards for their ongoing support of dual credit programs and other partnership opportunities for students. Allow me the opportunity to boast about Weslaco ISD. Weslaco ISD has 3 designated dual credit pathway high schools offering specific specific higher education pathway to its high school students. They consist of Weslaco T-STEM's Early College High School, Weslaco East Early College High School, and Weslaco 21st Century CTE Early College High School. To cap off my immodest remarks, I would like the community to know that 113 Weslaco ISD students earned a certificate or an associate degree in the spring of 2020 before receiving their high school diploma. Congratulations to all 113 students for their stupendous accomplishments. South Texas College thanks Weslaco ISD for its support, leading to STC becoming the first college or university in Texas accredited by the National Alliance for Concurrent Enrollment Partnerships. From the South Texas College Board of Trustees, dual credit programs, the administration, the faculty and staff, thank you. Thank you for your resilience and patience. It is truly commendable. Onwards and upwards, and blessings to all the Weslaco ISD family. Thank you, Mr. Cuellar, and blessings again to all Weslaco ISD employees and school board members. Thank you again.
Thank you, Mr. Guajardo. Okay, Dr. Canales, item number 9, Superintendent's Report. Dr. Canales.
Board of Trustees, we have several items to report: COVID-19, air purification unit, student enrollment, semester schedules and grades, and insurance. So I'll begin with just our reports and our 5 district goals. This is constantly our mind as we face COVID-19. As we've talked before, Weslaco ISD was on a road to high levels and higher levels of success every single year. Our 5 goals are student success with a literacy focus, engaging learning environments, parent, community, business, industry partnerships, professional growth and leadership development, and financial strength. And as we experience COVID-19, we've had to talk about different ways, unique ways, to make sure that we're doing things that lead to the accomplishment of our goals. So just where we are with COVID-19, we do present these reports every time we meet. On December the 17th, but I believe our meeting was, well, I thought it was the 14th, but the 17th, we had 47,799 total cases, with 2,576 being active. That was before the break. As of today, January 11th, we have 54,600 total cases and 1,957 being active currently right now. I'm going to do the hospitalization. The hospitalization numbers from a month ago, they are up, 255 back in December, 395 as of today. The active ICU are also up from 82 to 114. We're also keeping track on a daily basis what's happening in our county. I thank Ms. Susan Kaufman and Dr. Garcia's department for keeping track of this. So you can see on December 28th, there was 20,471 active cases. January 10th, yesterday, 14,043 active cases. So it's just data that we look at to just as we decide and we plan, not only alone, but with Hidalgo County, any conversations we have to have with TEA and with our colleagues in other districts. This is our trauma service area hospitalization, and you can see we're above as of January the 9th, we're above the 15% threshold that Texas Education Agency has alluded to looking at when making decisions for specific areas across the state. So we're very mindful of that, and we keep tabs on that. For our dashboard, this is as accurate as we can get. I thank Mr. Martinez and his team for keeping this up, even with the other issues that we're facing with technology. So what's been reported on the dashboard is 30 staff positive cases. Many of those cases happened in the break. I can, get more numbers for you maybe in the update, and 3 current student positive cases. Of course, this is active right now. And here's a breakdown by schools, a summary by district. So it ranges from the high of 9 at one high school to some of the campuses still having 0. So moving on with COVID-19 updates, These are the results of the parent survey back in December. This is for the fourth 6 weeks or the fourth grading period. Some of our grading periods don't have 6 weeks. And these were the responses. So for parents who responded, we had a 27% response rate. So a total of 4,538 responses for students. And we had 83% selecting home for the fourth grading period and 15% selecting school. We are watching our campus attendance on a regular basis. This last week, you can see the counts there for Tuesday, the first day after the break. Wednesday would be 1.6, Thursday and Friday. So we're averaging in the 600s and mid 600s, pretty much. That's what we averaged last week. We'll continue to take on-campus student attendance on a daily basis. Before the break, we were close to, Mr. Aguilar, I'm looking at you, we're close to 1,000, I think, pretty much before the break. So that's the first part of the COVID-19 updates. I'd like to move on, and these slides are not in the order that I had them. I'd like to move out to the COVID-19 rapid testing project. And for this piece, I'm going to ask Ms. Kaufman to go through these slides and just tell me when to advance the slides, Ms. Kaufman.
Dr. Canales, I cannot see the slides.
Carlos, can you see them? Okay, Ms. Kaufman, I'm deferring to Mr. Martinez.
Okay. If you want, you can read them to me, then I can comment.
Okay, Ms. Kaufman, I'll go ahead and go through them. Ms. Kaufman, can you get them from the Google Drive?
Yes.
Okay, so the COVID-19 rapid testing Board of Trustees, Ms. Kaufman, I'll start as you pull that up. For COVID-19 rapid testing project, testing will begin upon the completion of testing trainings for all RNs, LVNs, and campus administration. We have received medical waste bags as is required, and we have contact-free testing kiosks that have been developed by our departments. They're completed and they've been delivered to the campuses. Tests will be administered on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday mornings prior to the beginning of each work day.
They're coming up.
Okay.
Next slide.
I went over this slide, the second slide. Do with the next one?
Yes.
Okay, there we go.
The Weslaco ISD COVID Rapid Testing Project. The BINEX Now testing administrators must complete the required training prior to initiating testing at each campus. They first need to take the BINEX Now required modules. They have to do a hands-on training by the Weslaco ISD COVID-19 Testing Task Force on how to use the testing kits. They also have to undergo a training by the WISD COVID-19 Testing Task Force on how to complete the registration process and how to link the COVID test kit with the individual registration form. So there's a lot of different aspects of these testing kits, and there's technology also involved. And it took us 3 days to figure out all of this, and we have a great plan now, so I'm excited about that. Next slide. We've changed our plan a little bit. We are now going to be testing asymptomatic staff only, and then our second phase will be testing asymptomatic students. However, the nurses won't be testing the students. The parents or guardians will be performing the test after they've been instructed on how to do this by the nurses. It's important to note that TEA did an update to the Binax Now antigen testing. This is only a screening tool and cannot be used as a diagnostic tool. Anyone who tests positive will need to go to see their physician or any medical professional for further testing or whatever that physician would decide. Next slide. Oh, I'm done.
All COVID-19 update, Mr. Guerra, Board of Trustees. And we can go on to some of the other topics.
Now, Dr. Canales, how's the other, was it the curative? How's that coming along?
Mrs. Kaufman or Mr. De La Rosa, do you want to give an update on curative? We're supposed to start on Fridays. I'll let Mr. De La Rosa or Mr. De La Rosa, do you want to chime in?
Sure. Good evening, Dr. Canales, Mr. President. The curative will be ready to go by Friday at Weslaco High School. And marketing material should go out on Tuesday or Wednesday, instructing people on how to sign up online and the directions of to where to show up at what time, because it actually gives you an appointment to show up there at the high school when you sign up online. So we should be going by Tuesday, Dr. Rodriguez. I'm sorry, Friday.
Friday, and that one's going to be the PCR?
That's correct. That's a PCR test.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other comments?
I have a question. Are we just going to be having these in certain schools for a couple of weeks and then having it available for all schools, or what are we planning on doing?
Which test are you referring to?
The rapid test.
It'll initiate at one school, and then we'll eventually roll out the process to every school. We're having a training with the nurses on Wednesday, and then the administrators, and then we'll roll it out and we'll start. And hopefully after everyone is able to monitor it, we'll have everything up and running in 10 to 14 days.
Okay. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, ma'am. You go first.
I was actually going to mention, I've heard other school districts are actually running their tests on Sundays, so that I guess by Monday, those people who, in case anybody does test positive, you know, they avoid coming to school on Monday. Is this something that we could look into, or if would this work for Weslaco ISD?
Well, I mean, anything is possible, I'm sure, but I guess we'd have to talk to personnel.
Right.
Yeah, Mrs. Dida, we can look into it, definitely. I mean, if you know which districts have decided to switch to that for the very reason of having a heads up for Monday, we'll definitely look into it as a possibility.
Okay.
My question was, will other personnel be certified as well? I know you mentioned RNs, LVNs, and campus administration. Will other administration be certified as well in case there's shortages or they need assistance on the campus, or any type of support? Or are those the only categories that are going to be certified?
I don't believe we're limited to those, Mr. Los Santos.
Oh, no?
Ms. Kaufman, can you verify?
Oh, sure. We're not limited to train. I mean, we can train everyone. And I'm hoping that the way that we have developed this approach to implementing our program, it's going to be very easy. It's going to be very safe. It's going to be contact-free, and people will be more than willing to assist with it.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, because I just saw that in other districts where they have, district level admin, et cetera. And in order that way they can provide support if needed. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so for the next part of the superintendent's report, we have a few updates on air purification units. And Mr. Riojas and Mr. Americo Garza.
Yep. May I start, Dr. Canales?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Dr. Canales, and Coach Guerra, our board president, the members of the board. I wanted to give you a quick update on the air purification devices that we've been studying and looking at And so if you notice today, when you walked into the lab room, we have two samples in there. So you have the blue sample made by, I think it was Blue Air. And that was one of the samples that we were looking at. And we ordered that when we purchased it so that we can test it, because we were worried about the noise, the sound, how much noise it would make in the classroom. And then, of course, the other one that you see in there those are the ones that we actually ordered for the isolation rooms, and we have 5 of those in the district as well. So the HEPA filtration, we want to incorporate these devices to help us clean out the air and remove any particles, bacteria from an encapsulated area. Okay, so basically we want to use the HEPA filtration to eliminate unwanted dust particles, germs, and contaminants in the rooms. So kind of gave a little breakdown on cost. The cost is a range, if you see. So the estimate cost per unit is approximately about $1,600 to $1,700. We do have a very good number of, or a calculated number of classrooms throughout the district, and we are at 1,200 classrooms. Number of estimated additional units for department support areas. So we looked at, cafeterias, libraries, the larger areas in the district, even some of our high school classrooms that are a little bit larger than your normal 700 square feet classroom. And so with taking those measurements into play, that's an additional 732 units. Okay, so each unit covers approximately 700 square feet, which is kind of the basic size for one of our classrooms. Some are larger than others, but we use that as the median number. And so we came up with a total estimated number of units needed for the district of 1,932 units times the $1,700, which would be the high end. We could definitely get them a little bit lower based on the purchasing manner that we will purchase these. And so we're looking at approximate cost of about $3.2 million or $3.3 million. That's kind of a high, $3,284,400. That's not a number that I use a lot. So, but that's kind of where we're at numbers wise. And then proposed procurement method, we would obviously go out for proposals, and then the estimated recommendation for board approval would be in March. And these things are being, Mr. Garza has done a lot of work, extensive work in researching these models, and they are kind of mass produced. And so we've gotten some feedback that upon a PO and of course approval from our board and superintendent, upon a PO, 2 to 4 weeks, we can start receiving these units into at Weslaco ISD and dispersed into the classrooms. And so we are looking at a unit that you see there, the picture that you see there, it's called the RAP, the room air purifier, and it's the most ideal unit. It is very, very quiet, very not as noisy and distracting in the classroom, and will clean a classroom of square foot, about 700 square feet, in about 10 minutes. Okay, so within 10 minutes of it being on, it will circulate the entire air in the area and shoot out some clean, disinfected air. And so that's the unit that we are recommending. These units are highly recommended by the CDC and the American Society of Heating and Refrigeration and Air Conditioning because it's a HEPA filtration. It's I think Mr. Garza is very comfortable, and if he's comfortable, I'm comfortable with the recommendation. And these units also, they do have other features that are very unique. They give you the options of adding a UV light system if we wanted to in the future, or bipolar ionization if we wanted to in the future. Those are additional features that you can incorporate into these units. But at this time, the unit that we're recommending is the HEPA filtration, and that's exactly what you see there. And so any questions, Dr. Canales or members of the board, for Mr. Garza or I?
Yes, Coach.
Amount for $3 million, whatever Mr. Rioja said, do we have the money allocated in the budget, or do we have to utilize from fund balance.
We may have to. I need to verify with Mr. Sanchez, who's on this meeting, so he can verify. Right,
Okay.
Mr. Sanchez?
Yeah, the money not in the budget. We will have to come from the fund balance.
That's what I thought. Okay, thank you.
Coach Rojas, this is the cost that you're stating here, 3.2 million.
Yes, sir.
That's the initial cost. What's the cost on, are these, I'm assuming these are HEPA filter.
Yes, sir.
How often do these filters need to be replaced?
That's a good question, sir. So Mr. Medico and I were reviewing that today. We are estimating that running these units pretty much throughout the entire school year, we're calculating about 200 days out of the year. I think we're estimating, sir, about every 4 years we would have to change out these filters. So they have a long lasting life as far as the filter is concerned. We haven't been able to get the exact cost to that filter, but on another note, the blue unit that we have, which we're not recommending, but just to kind of give you an idea, you can actually buy that HEPA filter at Home Depot for about $280, and it comes with a pack of 2. But that filter is a little bit different than the other unit than the unit we're recommending. But it kind of gives you an idea of what we're looking at. But the beautiful thing about it is that, again, it's pretty long lasting, and we think that we can get, based on what we know from these units and studying these units, that we can get approximately about 4 years out of these filters, and that's based on the life expectancy of these units, sir.
I know that this is kind of our discussion from the last time we met.
Yes, sir.
The 3.3 million, we rounded up to 3.3 million. You're saying that we're going to have to probably look at our general fund. And I know we had just gotten an update on that in the last meeting that we had, and it's currently in our binder. But we also stated the last time we met that we had monies allocated in construction as well, too. I think last time you said we had about 9 million. Is that correct, Mr. Sanchez?
I don't remember that figure, sir.
Okay.
And we don't have any money allocated for any projects for purification devices.
Right.
All the time we talked about it was to be brought from fund balance.
So everything, it has to come out of the fund balance. The unencumbered funds were in the fund balance.
No, we didn't have any funds allocated for this in the construction fund.
Right. But there's no other resources that we have out there instead of tapping into the fund balance, or that's kind of what I'm asking. You're talking about our savings, the portion of the fund balance, it's unencumbered.
Yeah, yes, sir, that is correct. That is the funding.
Yes, that you're going to tap into.
Yes. But we don't have one thing a place that we can look at, which will be in fund balance. And once we get the final numbers with the audit that we have, it should be finished in the next 2-3 weeks for the year, that we might have a little bit more than what we thought. That money that will be in the fund balance, but it would have been is the savings, if you want to call it like that, for the 19-20 year.
Okay.
We were looking at about 4 million. If we already used up about 2.5 with the one-time benefit to employees that the incentive payment that we did.
Right, that came out of the fund
If we have a
balance.
larger amount, we might be able to grab some from there.
If you're going to invest into these many units, can you get a better deal per unit when you buy this much at one time?
Well, one of the times, let me inquire about, correct? You want to make that comment?
We're talking about $200 right now, but is there a possibility that when you buy these many units that you're going to get a better deal?
Well, we are hoping so, sir. By going out for a proposal, we have more vendors that can give us a price. Right now, we're looking at 1 or 2 vendors. I don't know how many vendors Mr. Garza and Mr. Rioja looked at, but there is a chance that we can get better prices. I'm hoping that we can get, I don't know where they got them, whether they're already looking at a large number, but when you go out for a proposal, you probably have a better chance to get lower prices. Mr. Garza?
Yes, we're, good evening, members of the board, Dr. Canales. Yes, we've looked at one vendor, and it's a local rep. So the manufacturer of the units directed us to our local representative for this area, and they're the only ones that we've looked at for this unit. And if I may also provide some clarification, we've looked at 3 different units. The one we're recommending, we have not obtained the unit itself for review and, I guess, testing, if you will. But we're basing the recommendation on a unit that we do have, which is a higher capacity unit that we obtained for the isolation rooms. And that unit is in the technology training lab right next to the boardroom. But just to answer the question, we've looked at only one vendor, a local rep of each one of the units that we have.
This is Andrew. Coach Rojas, good evening.
Yes, sir.
I know previously, and I know you touched on it, that these machines, if we wanted to down the future, add the either the UV or the ionization to it. But how much cost difference is it if you do it to the HVAC system, which y'all had previously brought before the board? Is there more cost savings going this way, but at the same time, still providing the safety for the students and the staff?
I think, thank you, Mr. Gonzalez, it's a good question. I think that looking at the devices, and actually, Mr. Garza and I were talking about that today, and just, comparing and contrasting the two, we feel that this is a better option with this portable device because simply it's in the classroom, teachers can see it, they can tell if it's not working. It's got a light switch, the light switch is on in case there's something happens, the light switch will probably be off or it'll have a blinking light. When you put it up into the air system, into the AC systems up in the roofs, there's no way for us to tell. And so it takes a lot of manpower and time and resources to get up there, check them, figure out what's going on, change filters, things of that nature that are going to be more time consuming, more costly. I think these units are, I really feel that these units are a better option for us, Mr. Gonzalez, because of that, because they're visible, you can see them working, you can, again, like Mr. Garza said, the unit that we have as one that we're basing our decision on is larger than this unit here. And at 500 CFMs, it's very low distracting in the classroom, in my opinion. It's you can barely hear it, but you can hear it. It's kind of giving you a real nice soothing sound, if you ask me. But it I think as a teacher or a student in the classroom, I think that it would not be distracting, opposed to the blue device that we have is that we also purchased as a sample. I mean, you can hear the difference right away. Yes,
Thank you, Coach.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Michael. Coach Jesse, with your company dealing with the disinfecting and sanitizing for the COVID, have you seen these machines at all by any chance, or seen them work where you've been?
I've seen the blue ones. I've never seen the white ones. Well, just the other previously when you presented it, Coach Rojas.
Yes, sir.
But I've seen the blue ones. I've seen the blue ones. When there's been a fire, and for smoke purposes to remove the smoke and things like that. So that was going to be my question to Coach Rojas.
Yes.
How does a white unit measure up, or how does a blue unit measure up to these white ones? I know at one of the previous workshops, those blue ones were about $600 to $700, if I'm not mistaken. And I got to, I didn't even know if it was on or not. I mean, it wasn't very loud either, the blue one. But it's a big cost difference. And are we only looking, for instance, I know this white one clears up a room or purifies a room within 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
What about the blue ones?
The blue ones, they have a dial, if you will, where the faster you turn that CFM, of course, the faster that you will clean out your room. The slower that you go, the lesser it takes. So what we felt with the blue one, and you're right, sir, you're absolutely right, Mr. Trevino, it is a cost difference. But what we felt is the blue one, when you turn it at the CFM of at least clearing out a room in 12 minutes, but 700 square feet, it's pretty noisy. And I think that it would be I think it would be a distraction in the classroom. And I think Mr. Garza felt that. I don't know if Mr. Aguilar had a chance to go by and take a look at it, or hear it. But I felt that it would be a little too loud in a classroom, because technically, I think you want to turn that dial up a little bit, at least to get a room cleared, at least the minimum of 12 minutes. And it does. You can hear the difference right away.
But once the room gets purified, or because I don't think we're going to be battling too much. I mean, the unit is constantly going to be running.
Mm-hmm.
So once it purifies a room at whether it's 10 minutes or 12 minutes, and it's constantly going to be working after that.
Mm-hmm.
Each unit, I think, is going to be, when it comes to that point, I guess the biggest factor here is the noise level.
Yes,
and I think that's something that we can look at when we go back to the lab during the executive meeting, is to check out really how the noise level in this, because I do know we have some bigger classrooms where the noise level may not be as big of a factor in some of the other rooms.
Yes, sir.
If I could add something, Coach. I'm sorry. I was going to piggyback off of what he said. I know that Mr. Trevino and we walked through several classrooms, and the superintendent and several teachers bought their own little air purifier, and it had the UV and the bacteria. They bought it themselves. They weren't too loud. It didn't seem to bother the kids at all.
Mm-hmm.
In one of your presentations, you stated that which machine was it that's widely used in hospitals? Or I think it was Mr. Garza. One of you all stated that one of the machines was widely used, and that's why the parts were so readily available, because they're used in hospital settings. Was it the blue one? It was one of your presentations.
Yes, the blue one has been used also in hospital settings, as well as these units. So again, the key thing to these units is the HEPA filtration, and they all use it. So now we're looking at other features, which is noise level. If we want to look at aesthetics, that's another story. But primarily right now, our concern is the noise level, and that's why we obtained one of the blue units. I personally saw the unit at a local clinic here in the valley, and so I heard the noise, and I said I'm concerned about it. So I'd like to get one for us to check it out. And we did have one place. We bought two of them. One of them is there in the technology training lab, and the other one was placed in a classroom today at Airport Drive Elementary. And so we, without telling the teacher anything about it, we just asked her to try it out and give us her opinion about it. And so we're working on that as well to see if she does complain about the noise level, and we'll make sure that she did use it at the maximum setting, because that's where you get the highest noise output of it. But these other ones, the blue one is based on the information of the unit. It is intended for construction areas. It doesn't have any casters or any wheels. It's not metal. It's a hard plastic case, which is very durable, but nonetheless it's plastic as opposed to these. So there's some of the cost differences there too. But because it's more geared for construction areas or work areas that were shops, that's why I'm assuming they didn't put too much effort into the noise level, as opposed to these other units. These other units are intended for also hospital settings, for classrooms, for isolation rooms as well.
All right. Thank you, sir.
I believe we still can go back when we go in the back area there and check them out, because if it's a noise level, right now everybody's on headphones or everybody's looking into a computer right now. But I think if we go back and look at a regular classroom setting last year at this time, with all the kids talking, the teacher giving instruction and so forth, I think the only time the noise, being in the classroom, I don't think it's not fair to gauge right now a classroom setting, because right now every classroom is silent, even with 3 or 4 kids in there. But in a regular classroom setting of 24, 25 kids, they're interacting, the teachers talking and so forth. I think I believe that we can overcome that noise level on those blue ones. And I'm just wavering the cost of each unit and the advantage and disadvantage of each one. But I believe that we could still be effective in a classroom setting, in a regular classroom setting, obviously, with those blue ones, and get away with effective learning in the classroom. I think the only time it may hinder us or affect us is, when they're taking a test. But when they're testing, maybe you can turn it off for that hour and a half, and then crank it back on, and then within 12 minutes of that, 12 to 15 minutes, that classroom should be purified again. So I think that would be something to consider as well. Because right now I don't foresee having a classroom. Right now, I think the numbers are, if we were to have 11 to 12 students per class is the max, I think, or 11 to 14, I can't recall the number. If we had everybody come back in an ideal situation, by the month of March or something, we would still have 11 to 14 students with a proper social distancing in the classroom. So I think taking that into consideration, I think those blue ones, we may be able to get away with purifying and get away with that with using those blue ones.
I think we all see the benefit of these purification systems, and I guess the price, I think, is what's kind of has us second guessing this particular unit there. And now, quick question, Mr. Sanchez. If the RFPs, if we go out for RFPs, are we just going based on this unit, or are we going to open it up to other units, and then we can see, what other options we have?
Dr. Rodriguez, we could start with these 2 units that we have. And when you go out for proposals, you specify what you want, but you cannot restrict it. So you say, we want this brand, this model, or equal. So a manufacturer or another vendor has something that they consider similar, they will provide it. For that, we ask for, when they send us something that they think is similar, to give us the specification. That way, Mr. Garza, for example, can check them and compare whether they're good or not. That way, we like it, the price is better, and it's pretty much the same as the other one. We can save money that way, we can recommend that one. Or we can consider other ones when we go out for proposals.
Can we set a price range or on the proposal?
We don't usually set a price range when it's items like that. And I don't know whether that would, how would it affect us, whether we limit somebody who might be a little over. Let's say that we go with a 700 or 800, there's something that costs $900, and they're gonna be left out because we put a range. And we might get a good product.
Well,
usually when it's for items like this, we can never put a price. Well, we could try it.
You're saying that we get the proposal and their initial price cost per unit, then we can have a rebuttal with them and say, well, we're willing to pay excess amount per unit, and just negotiate that, right? That's it.
Yeah, but I think it's, we can go for proposals and just see what comes in, and then maybe go from there and decide what we can afford.
And because all of y'all have some great points, and ultimately, when we do decide what we're going to do, we're going to base our decision on what's the safest thing for our children. Every student in our school district, every staff member has something very valuable, and that's called life. And we're not going to draw a line on what we're going to do to protect the safety of all our children and staff members. So the ultimate decision is going to be in what is best for everybody. And Andres.
Yes, sir.
not to put pressure on you, pero we'll find a way, okay?
Okay, not a problem.
Okay.
Question for Mr. Rojas, and it's only because I want to inform the public, but Mr. Rojas, in your last meeting, you provided us with a lot of information and you all did a lot of research. You did, and did Mr. Gatsa. I commend you on all the research to continue to find alternatives to make our classroom environment safer. But this option with the mobile units is much more affordable and it's something that we can implement across the entire district, like you said, the number of classrooms, compared to modifying rooftops, right? The rooftop option would be more expensive, difficult to find the materials, and it wouldn't be able to impact the entire district all at once within even a school year. Is that correct?
Right. Yes, sir. That's a very, very good assessment there, sir, because like I mentioned earlier, these units, they're being mass produced. Mr. Garza and some of his staff members, I mean, we're calling like crazy, trying to get information on these units, and so we have determined that they're being, produced at a pretty high rate. We're able to get them here. We're able to put them where we need them. We looked at every single square footage of all our district, every single department, you name it, and that's why our unit totals are pretty high, because we looked at all the areas that we need to cover. And so by far this is a much better route than putting up anything up on the roofs or on the rooftops or in the AC units, and much less work intensive for our staff as well.
Great job.
If I can add, I was cut off, sorry, earlier. I lost my network connection. As we walk through the schools and some of the teachers bought this, I know this is just a good measure. It's a good thing. The teachers feel safer just having one of these in the classroom. And that's what we want. We want everyone to feel safe. We want the parents to let them know that your kids are safe at school. Teachers are feeling safe with these in their classroom, even though it's the little ones that they bought themselves. I have one here at home with the UVC, and they work great. So this is just a measure of safety, and I'm sure they really appreciate that. So it would be very good to get these or any other ones.
Okay. Thank you all, everybody. Dr. Canales, student enrollment?
Yeah, the next item on the agenda, student enrollment. We still have the December 11th report due to the technology issues that we're facing on student enrollment. So we'll provide an update on the board update this week if we're ready to do so, Mr. Martinez. And the other, so if I may move on, President Guayan, to the semester schedules and grades. Just inform the board about what's going on with semester schedules and grades. And this particularly impacts our high schools. So for our high schools, we have year-long classes and we have semester classes for half credit. Year-long classes are continuing with second semester content and grades. As soon as we have the e-school up, we need to give our teachers 2 full days, well, not full days, evenings to enter grades for the prior semester. I'm talking about the last grading period ending December the 18th, after eSchool Plus and Teacher Access Center grade books becomes operational. So that's a critical piece for us. I think we're there. We weren't there, or maybe I wanted to hear that we were there. We're almost there. And then we'll have to give our teachers 2 full evenings to enter the grades, close out the first semester. Only grades earned during the third 6 weeks of the third grading period prior to December the 18th, and semester exam grades will be entered for that period. Grades will be available to students and parents as soon as possible after the verification of grades. So given the technology issues, we did have some issues with grades. High schools are about credit, earning credit. We have semester courses and we have full year courses. So high schools had to do some instructional modifications for this semester. Full year courses, again, English 1, math courses, a lot of the other ones are not impacted. The ones impacted are the 0.5 credit courses, the semester courses. The official calendar start date was Tuesday, January the 5th, 2021 for the second semester and for the fourth grading period. The second semester rosters and classes are available today. So we were able to, even with the issues, figure out how to develop those rosters by today. There's some instruction that was missed for the half semester courses. And so some students missed 1 day, some students missed 2 days for those half semester courses. And we will implement instruction, TEKS-based instruction on asynchronous Fridays. Remember, the high schools have the hybrid. I do have the high school principals available if you have any questions, but this is just more to inform you. The tech issues led to some problems, particularly for our high school when it came to closing out grades for the fall semester and starting the 0.5 classes, the semester classes, the second semester. It's just to inform you. And the high school principals are available again.
My question comes from my own high school kids, and it has to do with sports, though. Because, they want to know, you know, the whole pass and play thing. Are the grades that are being used, is it from this last 6 weeks or the previous 6 weeks?
It's from the grading period leading up to, so it'd be the third grading period, the third 6 weeks period leading up to December the 18th.
Okay. Because they were telling me something about some kids that were supposed to have played this because of their grades couldn't because they were using old grades or something. I said, I don't know. I mean, your technology's down right now, so I don't know what grades are being used, but so we are using grades that are the most recent grades for the athletes.
Right, we're trying, yes, once we get e-school up, we'll finalize the grades, we'll know where they stand. And we've adjusted the UIL calendar for our athletes and fine arts students who may be involved in UIL competition and others. And so, Mrs. Said, if you'd like information on that, I can see him from here, on the screen. Mr. Riojas can explain. He worked with the 2 high school coordinators for athletics and our high school principals to figure out how to get that done. We had an option A, and then we had to move to an option B for that.
Yes, ma'am. Dr. Gonzalez, would you like for me to respond?
Mrs. Said, would you like more information right now?
Sure, that way whoever's listening.
Okay.
Mr. Riojas.
Oscar,
Yes, okay.
Oscar, before you start,
yes, sir.
very, very quickly, did you already have our school calendar approved by UIL? Remember how we used to have the UIL approve the school calendar for
Correct.
grading? So Ms. Ustaita's question can be answered by what have we established as the grading period and when it goes into effect with grace periods and so forth.
Correct. Yes, sir. And so, Dr. Canales, Coach Cuellar, our board president, the members of the board, Mr. Staita. That's a good question that you're asking right now. There's been a lot going on, but absolutely, it's very important. And so I've been in communication with the UIL, and like Coach Cuellar said, we do have a UIL approved eligibility calendar that cannot be amended, that cannot be touched. That has been approved by the UIL. So the only thing that happens at this point is the UIL gives us 2 options, okay? One option is to leave the calendar as is and hope to get availability or our teachers' availability to verify grades. And we know that we want to give our teachers sufficient time to verify grades. And then at the same time, give them enough time to post grades. And then at the same time, allow the kids enough time to work on any incompletes that they may have. Which is what Coach Cuellar is right. That's called the grace period. And normally by UIL rules, you have a 7-day grace period. Okay, so today, January the 12th, which is tomorrow, is the end of the 7-day grace period for our calendar. Okay, based on grades that may have been inputted on the last day of school, which was December, the third 6 weeks. Okay, so because we're not able to verify grades for the third 6 weeks, we have to go back and use grades that were posted in the second 6 weeks. Okay, and also determine if students regained eligibility at the 3-week progress report checking time that may have failed the second 6 weeks, may have gained eligibility back in the middle of the third 6 weeks. Okay. Now, when we go on vacation, all students become eligible because you have 5 consecutive days or more of no school, of a break. So everybody becomes eligible, whether you failed or you passed. the big question mark comes when we do come back to school, which for us, it was January the 5th, Tuesday. On that day starts a 7-day grace period. So all students that were eligible or regained eligibility are working on incompletes. That's their time frame for them to fix those grades. So the second option that we have, which is what we're recommending to our coordinators and to our principals, is to use what the UIL calls the UIL COVID-19 provision. So basically what that does is it allows you to extend your 7-day grace period to 14 days. Okay, so in essence, what that does is it gives our district, the ability to verify our grades, post grades, and it gives the kids an opportunity to work on their incompletes. Gives them an additional 7 days. Where it becomes tricky is that the UIL is giving you 14 days, but they're also going to take 14 days away from you if you become ineligible. So the provision says that we would allow for the 7 extra days, and I know it's a lot, and it probably best if I show it to you guys, but if you allow through the additional 7 days, then we would go through January the 19th, okay, of incomplete, okay? We would check progress reports on January the 22nd, which is when progress reports are already scheduled to be checked. Those kids that are not passing or did not regain eligibility, you're now going to lose them for 14 days, which means they don't come back until February the 5th. Okay, and that's the COVID-19 provision. That's the provision that the UIL put out this year due to COVID-19. Although this is not necessarily a COVID-19 issue, it is a very unique issue that we're dealing with in the district. So the UIL has allowed us to use this provision. So basically, we're just extending the 7-day grace period to 14 days instead of the 7.
Okay, I know that because of the technology issues we're having, parents and students they can't check online to see if their kids are passing or not. So how are they supposed to know what's going on, if they're passing, they're failing, if they're missing? What are we doing?
Well, normally what we do with UIL and coaches is, our coaches communicate with our students via some form of communication for progress reports type of communication to try to get some of those grades. The dilemma that we're in right now as a district is that our teachers are not able to generate those grades. Our teachers are not able to generate the end of the third 6 weeks grades, and we're not able to get into those systems as of December, the week before we went on vacation. That was a whole week that our teachers were not able to generate or to verify or to check grades. And so we felt that it's very difficult to require a teacher or to ask a teacher respectively say, hey, what did Oscar Riojas get the third 6 weeks, because they've got so many kids, so much stuff going on. I think that we would put too much undue stress, needed stress on our teachers already than they already have. So we decided that was probably not going to work. And then that was in communication with our principals, with Dr. Gamboa and Ms. Morales. I've been visiting with them, since all of this has started to happen. And so, very important that our principals, because they're kind of the lines of communication for their teachers, and so we want to make sure that we're all on the same page with this. And so, you're right. I think we're not able to verify those grades, and that's the issue, and that's why we have to go back to the second 6 weeks.
And we're looking at it with the teacher. That's of course the teachers. It's a lot for them, but I'm looking at it as a student because I have students of my own. Some of the kids that were not passing in the second 6 weeks, but yet they knew, oh man, I'm going to start playing. I got to pass by December. And then they actually were passing. They're not able to play, even though they might have already been passing because of their old grades, but yet they don't know because of the e-school is down.
Right. And so that's a good observation, Ms. Taita. And so Students that may have failed the second 6 weeks, and like you say, they know soccer's coming up, they know basketball's coming up, they know, and so they're, they start getting their little ducks in a row, and they start working towards getting eligible. We should be able to tell if they were becoming eligible at the middle of the third 6 weeks, which is the progress report. If progress reports were checked at that time, which they were, and I believe, Mr. Martinez, that those grades we can view. If they were passing at that time all classes, including, of course, the ones that they may have failed, then they're eligible right now. They remain eligible until January the 19th, because of the extension that we have.
Okay.
But if they were not, and they failed the second 6 weeks, and they did not pass a progress report, then yes, right now they're waiting. As of Tuesday, when we came back to school, they become back to ineligible until we check progress reports on the 22nd. So it's kind of it's a tricky situation. And so I've been communicating with our coordinators. Coordinators have been meeting with the head coaches, explaining these things, because unfortunately, it's something that's beyond our control, and we're trying to look at the calendar and find the provision that allows us to stay within the UIL parameters, and make sure that we don't violate no pass, no play, which is a state law.
Oscar, is it a double-edged sword then? Instead of regaining eligibility?
Yes.
Now it's gonna,
Yes, Yes, sir, that's exactly right. It's basically the way I try to explain it to our coordinators, to our coaches, and believe me, we have looked at this upside down and backwards just to make sure that we're not making a mistake. I spoke to a parent today. He explained some things to her as well. And yes, so the UIL is saying, I'm going to give you 14 days now, but if they fail, I'm going to take 14 days back, which is the 14-day provision.
Yes. So at the progress reports, if they didn't regain eligibility at that point, at the interim progress report, then now instead of regaining eligibility now because they're passing, here at the 7-day mark, now it's going to take 14 days for them.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
Because we have good conversations with our high school principals, and we have to be very careful with giving the information on the grades, because now with the grading system, they carry a lot of weights, and everything is factored in through those calculations through eSchool, that we don't want to provide inaccurate information or provide inaccurate grades to our parents. So we want to be sure that the grades that the students do receive are accurate and they reflect that once we have our eSchool system is up, because we have been discussing that and the weights that go into play when all of that is factored into the grading system.
And I have I will provide our board of trustees with an update this Friday, very detailed and explained, so that way, if you have any questions, of course, if you have any questions at the time, Dr. Canales, we can definitely answer them at any time. It's a very, very complex and tricky situation, as Coach Cuellar and Coach Trevino know, and then implementing the provision of the 14 days. We do have some programs that are gonna consequently, I think, suffer.
Yeah, the easiest thing to do is to get that UIL calendar and break it down as to when eligibility takes effect and so on and so forth. I mean, we can get into a lot of detail on what you have to start the school year, but right now it's all based on those grades. So that would help to have that the UIL approved eligibility calendar.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Grade recovery initiatives, will those be available in the second semester for?
Yes, sir. And for some of these 0.5 courses too, we'll look at the Fridays for the high schools. It's a hybrid and it's asynchronous, maybe providing some synchronous support, some other things. So we are planning, and our principals are planning for recovery, not just for this, but just for the slide that we're expecting.
Perfect.
Good question, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Any more? Hey, Dr. Canales.
We have the last item is insurance, and I'm going to pass this to Mr. De La Rosa for self-funded employee benefit plan.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Canales, and good evening again, everybody. This is our standard slide that we show for our self-funded employee benefit plan. This data, the data here reflects a time period of September 1 through December 31st of this past year, so roughly exactly 4 months of data. So I'm going to approximate the numbers just to make it go a little bit quicker. Last year on our medical claims, we spent $3.2 million versus this year, we're at $4.1 million. So that's an increase of approximately $925,000 overall. Again, the prescription drug aspect of it is the second part. And last year at this time, we spent $1.4 million versus this year, we're at $2.1 million. And this is something that I've advised the board that we're kind of keeping an eye on because the price of prescription drugs is rising quite rapidly. The fixed costs, these of course our stop loss premiums and the admin fees that we paid at Blue Cross and Blue Shield. Last year they're at $682,000 versus this year at $876,000. That's an increase of approximately $193,000. As I mentioned in the last meeting, this number will equalize throughout the year as we start to see, as we start to catch up to the different types of rebates and stuff like that that we get from Blue Cross. Again, so last year at this time, in total, we're at $5.3 million. This year, we're at $7.1 million, and that's a 33% increase, almost a $2 million increase over last year. So again, with the rising medical claims costs and the prescription drugs, we're keeping an eye on this. So I'm not too terribly worried yet, but if we keep progressing this way, like I said, we will keep an eye on it. The next slide is the self-funded workers' compensation program. And again, we do a 2-year comparison this year versus last year. So the number of claims last year was 17 versus this year at 25. We incurred approximately $56,000 this year versus $58,000 last year. We paid a little over $19,000 this year versus last year, almost $27,000. So which leaves us with outstanding reserves of this year of $36,959.70 versus last year at $31,398. So the workers' comp plan is running very well. And with that, I'll open it up for questions.
Canales, you said that we were 2 million, right?
Yeah,
than last year at this time, correct?
$1.8 million, correct, sir. It's
So
almost
our budget allocation for this year is what?
we funded approximately $20 million for this year.
Okay.
So
Okay.
we should break even, but like I said, we are keeping an eye on it, and I will have some further discussions with Blue Cross when I meet with them later this month, kind of find out where we're going with this. Is it as a result of COVID? Do we have just higher big ticket claims, if you will? But I can tell you, just from what I've seen and that I've spot checked, a lot of it does have to do with what we're spending on COVID.
And our fiscal year will end when, in August?
In August 31st, correct. We're 4 months into it.
Well, okay.
So that Rosa, I have a question. I have this question from some parents who have their kids in athletics. The rapid test that they're taking right now, they're being billed for that, or is it supposed to be free? Because they're getting bills on their insurance that they're getting billed for these rapid tests.
The rapid testing is billed to the insurance. Now, if the parent doesn't have insurance, then it's supposed to be billed under the CARES Act. So I'm not sure exactly, if it's, I can speak to district insurance. They should not be receiving a bill, our district employees. And again, we'd have to get specific cases or specific information to look at it. I couldn't give you a broad answer. But certainly, if you can have them give us a call. Coach Joe was also who negotiated that contract with the testing. But it's supposed to be billed under the CARES Act.
Correct. Okay.
So if they have insurance, they will be billed. If they don't have insurance, they won't be billed.
The insurance will be billed, correct.
Okay.
May I say, Mr. La Rosa, that I did have a parent that called Mr. Saita, and we did get her in communication with the doctor. And so, because of course she was had received what she felt was an outrageous bill, for a COVID-19 test. And so the doctor's like, oh, the doctor was very good. She called the parent, and I don't know the further details, but they ironed out the situation, whatever it was. But yes, if you do have any of those concerns, please refer them to me, and or to the campus trainer, because they're the ones that are also in charge of the campus, and we'll definitely take a look at it and see what's going on.
Okay, so no out-of-pocket cost for the parents. It's all billed to insurance.
That's correct.
Okay.
Rosa. Sir, I know that you're saying that everything looks on track, that we should be okay with the money that's allocated already in the fund for our self-funded insurance plan. And I know that, or maybe you can let me know, I've read and by experience, that usually a lot of claims happen in late spring and into summer, because people are typically off, and that's when they have time for surgeries and they schedule more appointments and whatnot. Worst case scenario is that when we finish the fiscal year and we exceed the amount that's allocated in the budget, then what happens?
The balance is taken from fund balance. If there's a negative, or if we're in a deficit for our health insurance plan, the funds have to be transferred from fund balance.
All right, thank you, sir.
Okay.
That concludes the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Dr. Canales.
Go ahead.
We now go to item 10, consent agenda. Look at the items there, A through J, and then I'm going to ask if any of you have any one of those items to pull. Mr. Nieto? None? Mrs. Sustaita?
None.
Costreviño?
None.
Dr. Jaime?
I have none.
Mr. Los Santos?
I have none, sir.
And Mr. Gonzalez?
None, Coach. Thank you.
Okay, do I have a motion for approval?
Motion to approve consent agenda?
Okay, Doctor? And second by Mr. Gonzalez. Let's take a vote for your approval by saying aye. Mr. Nieto?
Aye.
Mrs. Staita?
Aye.
Mr. Costreviño?
Aye.
Dr. Jaime?
Aye.
Mr. Los Santos?
Aye.
And Mr. Gonzalez?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Discussion items. Item 11. Okay, interim financial reports for the 4 months ended December 31st, 2020. Dr. Canales?
Board of Trustees, this is a financial report, an interim financial report, and it has no action. Mr. Andres Sanchez will highlight some key points on this report. Mr. Sanchez.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Canales. Mr. Choir, members of the board, on the financial report for the 4 months ended December 31, 2020, in the general fund, out of $175,776,721 budgeted for revenues, we have received $76,821,299. That represents 43.7%. For 4 months of activity, that's the equivalent of 33.3%. So we are a little more on budget right now. Most of them is related to taxes and the state funds. On the expenditures, on all the functions, out of the amount budgeted of $185,235,874, we have encumbered or expended $55,039,605. That represents 29.71%. And again, I said 33% is the equivalent of 4 months. So we're about 3% less than budget as of December 31. That is the report. Do you all have any questions or comments?
Any questions? Thank you, Andres.
Yes, sir.
And part B, discussion of telemedicine, Dr. Canales.
Board of Trustees, this item was requested to be on the agenda for discussion. It's discussion, there's no action. President Well will turn it over to the Board of Trustees for discussion, and we do have Mr. Rosa and myself, and perhaps Ms. Kaufman that can provide any clarification at this time.
I brought this up, and De Los Santos and I brought this up because it was, I want to say, maybe a selling feature that other districts have, where some parents feel that they can benefit from telemedicine if their child goes to the nurse and feels sick. This was just brought up as a discussion just to see what you guys think. Would it benefit our district? Just discuss.
And I know I requested this one to be on the agenda was because we brought it up in our COVID-19 workshop, and we brought it up in the small workshops that we've had here that haven't been on camera. And the reason, and one of the reasons that I was telling Mr. De La Rosa about this is because I'm looking at our competition. I'm looking at what other services are they providing, not only to the students academically, but what services are we providing to parents? And the telehealth, telemed option is something that I think would benefit everyone, especially in these times with COVID-19. When a parent gets a phone call that their child is sick, they have to leave work. And on their way to work, on their way to the school to pick up their child, especially with the pandemic that we're currently in, they're thinking, are they COVID-19 positive or not? Luckily, we'll have those rapid tests on campus so that we can at least provide them with a preliminary result. But then after that, then they also have to, they also have to now lose time from work, make a schedule with the doctor, a local physician, a clinic that they go to, and then take the child in to go figure out whether they have strep throat, the flu, et cetera, and whatnot. And with telehealth and telemed, which is being offered in various districts throughout Region 1, there's also currently Mission just started their pilot program in January, and they're going to expand it to all their campuses. There's multiple districts that are already offering this. So when a parent gets out of work, so that way the public knows what telehealth is that when they go to the nurse's office, they can already log on and they'll be inspected by a doctor with the assistance of the nurse. And so when they're coming to school, by the time they get to school, their child might already have a diagnosis. One, we have the COVID-19 quick rapid test. And then after that, they may have flu, strep throat, ear infection, whatever the case may be. They pick up their child, and then the services, those telehealth services, will then also have the prescription ready for them at the pharmacy. So it's effective and it's convenient because we're not only is the parent, like I said, we're making that process easier for them, but we're also getting data back right there on campus. We already know as an organization, we know whether this child has a preliminary positive or negative for COVID-19. We'll know if they have some other type of diagnosis, whether it's flu, strep throat, ear infection, whatever the case may be. And that's even more, I think it's real effective for an organization to already have that data as well. It'll relieve stress on the parents, stress on the teacher, the students, the other students are within the classroom. And then also the campus will have also data as well. I've been researching a lot about it. There's companies and whatnot. And then there's also an area, I know one part of the discussion was from the last meeting was some of the pros and cons, and that people were responding was local physicians. One of the things was that somebody responded was that, well, local physicians may have a negative effect to their practice. But my thing is, and I saw this in other states, is that they actually partnered with local physicians and created a network that was provided on there. Because parents have the right to choose. It comes at no cost to the district, and parents then have a right to choose whether they opt in or out of the program. But I was just trying to just come up with ideas, how innovative, we got to be innovative to catch up with our competition. And like I said, we're not lacking anything. We just got to keep adding to our inventory of services, especially parental. And I saw that at one state up north, what they did was that they brought together physicians from the local community, had a workshop, and would start picking ideas, and they were able to create this and expand this on their district. So it wasn't a national company or whatever the case may be, or a state company, but even local created that. Because I know that the physician that I go to, they already are doing that, where I can already see them through the iPad or through the desktop if it's a minor illness, if it's something that's runny nose, cough, etc. So a lot of them already have that. So maybe it's just bringing them together. And this is just ideas, but bringing them together and developing something, because obviously districts throughout Region 1 are already expanding on it. Some of them I researched what they had available online. They're using different types of companies that are already currently in place. But if I understand the concern was local, and of course we have to look at them because they participate a lot and provide a lot of services and support. But maybe starting to work on that and bringing them together and have just a brainstorming session and saying, this is something that you all can provide together, where all of you are an option, depending on where the parent signed up and signed into. And the main thing for me is why I'm pushing it, like I said, that it's I keep bringing it up, and I know Sustaita brings it up as well too, for her reasons, is that the data, especially with COVID-19, you'll have instant feedback. Mr. De La Rosa, his department, the nursing staff, et cetera, they won't have to make phone calls, track parents down, try to reach out to them and get information as far as what the condition and issue is with their child. And then you'll have everyone else that's within the classroom and also the staff. You can't tell, I know because of regulations, you can't tell them, but they'll know that if they're not told to go home, that it's not COVID-19, it's not a COVID-19 issue. And so just things to think about. And I was just looking at, like I said, it's just looking at other districts and what they're offering. And that's why I wanted to bring it up to the rest of the board and something to food for thought.
Thank you, Mr. De Los Santos. Dr. Canales, will you and Mr. De La Rosa look into?
Yes, sir. Yeah, we've talked about looking into it and doing some of the research, and it's, for us, it's been a little bit of time. So that's the next place that we're in, just looking at it, research. Love the idea about the workshop with local physicians, and moving from there. So definitely, Mr. Quay.
Excellent. I mean, it looks like something that's really, really worth pursuing. Thank you. Any more discussion? Okay, item 12, discussion and possible action items. A, discussion and possible action for the board to consider approval to change the regular board meeting scheduled on February 8th, 2021. Dr. Canales.
Board of Trustees, on the second Monday of each month, we usually hold our regular board meeting. In February, the second Monday of the month is February the 8th, 2021. It's a day designated as a weather day on our district calendar. So administrative staff is recommending that the February 8th, 2021 meeting be rescheduled to one of the following days, either the next day to Tuesday, February the 9th, 2021, or the following week, Monday, February 15th, 2021. We will abide by the board wishes. So we're asking for you to take action on moving the board meeting date for February 8th, 2021 to either Tuesday, February 9th, or Monday, February 15th, 2021.
So
go to the February 9th,
okay, Mr. Nieto.
if possible.
Nieto, motion for the 9th,
Yes, sir.
and Mr. Gonzalez seconds the motion. Any discussion?
Again, if we can all meet up on that date, I think it'd be great. I myself will be flying in Monday evening. I don't get here till about 10, so for me it works out better.
I'll be out on the 15th, so that's why that weekend I'm going to be out. So if possible, if not, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll be out on the 15th also, so this will work.
Well,
The 9th works.
well, then we have a motion by Mr. Nieto and a second by Mr. Gonzalez to have it on the 9th. Let's take it to vote. Mr. Nieto? Mrs. Staita?
Aye.
Mr. Trevino?
Aye.
Dr. Jaime?
Aye.
Mr. Los Santos?
Aye.
And Mr. Gonzalez?
Aye.
Motion carries to move the date to the 9th. Item B, discussion and possible action to extend cost share waiver for COVID-19 testing and related visits. Dr. Canales.
Board of Trustees, COVID-19 testing and testing-related visits are currently covered at no cost share as required by the Families First Coronavirus Response Act until the end of the U.S. Health and Human Services public health emergency. The public health emergency is set to expire on January the 21st, 2021. As of now, there has been no communication as to whether or not this will be extended. As a self-funded employee health plan, the district has the option to amend its plan designed to extend this benefit indefinitely. No cost share will be an invaluable tool for employees and dependents to obtain COVID-19 testing and remove any potential financial obstacles for them. So Board of Trustees, we are recommending that you approve the plan amendment to extend the cost share waiver for COVID-19 testing and related visits.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Dr. Amen. And Mr. Gonzalez, second. Do we have any discussion?
I just have a question because we talked about earlier about the insurance being billed for the COVID test. So, but here it's saying that the CARES Act, yeah, I'm just confused. I don't know who is the insurance paying this or is the CARES Act paying it? I don't know who can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, the insurance company, in essence, the district, is paying the cost for these tests. So what the CARES Act required was that if you go in and obtain a test, there would be no copay or no cost share to the employee. So, for example, if you have an office visit copay of $15, that would be waived if you go get tested for COVID. So that's going to, and we were required to do that under the FFRCA. That's going to expire on January 21st. So unless we tell Blue Cross and Blue Shield to extend that waiver, then after January 21st, if you go get a COVID test, you're going to be charged a copay. So what we're doing is just we're waiving that copay for testing.
Okay.
Jackie, did that answer your question?
Yes, kind of. But yes, I moved to approve this.
You said, was it indefinitely or just till the end of the year?
It says indefinitely, so.
Yeah, until we get some further guidance from the powers that be on what type of federal assistance or federal requirements we're going to have, we can always come back once the pandemic is under control, as vaccines are more readily available. We can always come back and just put an end to it when we feel the time is right. And we'll bring that back to the board when we feel it's appropriate.
Is that Mike? You ready? Mike, okay. Any more discussion? If not, okay. I have a motion by Dr. Jaime and a second by Andrew to take action to extend the cost share waiver for COVID-19 testing and related visits. Take it to a vote. Your approval by saying aye. Mr. Nieto?
Aye.
Mrs. Saita?
Aye.
Mr. Villo?
Aye.
Dr. Jaime?
Aye.
Mark de los Santos?
Aye.
And Mr. Andrew Gonzalez?
Aye.
Motion carries. Let's go to C. Discussion and possible action to approve a resolution to designate authorized signers at Texas National Bank. Dr. Canales.
Hey, Board of Trustees, Trustee Armando Cuellar is a new board president. So Texas National Bank requires a board resolution to authorize who can sign checks on bank accounts on behalf of our district. The three individuals authorized to sign checks will be our board president, Armando Cuellar Jr., the superintendent of schools, me, and Mr. Andres Sanchez. So we ask that you approve the resolution to name all three individuals as to give them authorization to sign checks at Texas National Bank.
Andrew? Who was second? Mr. Nieto? Okay. We have a motion by Mr. Gonzalez and a second by Mr. Nieto to approve action for the resolution to designate authorized signers at the Texas National Bank. Any discussion? If we have none, let's take it to a vote for approval. Mr. Nieto?
Aye.
Mrs. Staita?
Aye.
Mr. Villo?
Aye.
Dr. Jaime?
Aye.
Mr. Los Santos?
Aye.
And Mr. Gonzalez?
Aye.
Motion carries. Takes us to item 13, closed meeting to discuss personnel matters, Texas Government Code 551.074. 1, employment of personnel. 2, resignations. 3, deliberation regarding the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer for employment. Texas Government Code 551-074 and 551-071. B, deliberation regarding acquisition of real property. Texas Government Code 551-072. C, consultation with attorney regarding A, pending or contemplated litigation, B, a settlement offer, or C, a matter in which the duty of the attorney to the Weslaco ISD under the Texas Disciplinary Rules of Professional Conduct, State Bar of Texas, clearly conflicts with Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code, Texas Government Code 551-071. 1, student versus Weslaco Independent School District before a special education hearing officer for the state of Texas, docket number 220-SE-0320. 2, student versus Weslaco Independent School District before a special education hearing officer for the state of Texas, docket number 219-SE-0320, and 3, forensic audit. The time now is 7:51, and we will go into closed meeting. Okay, we're going to reconvene now. Let the record reflect that Mrs. Sustaita logged off at 9:20. The time now is 9:28. And we'll reconvene with our board meeting. Dr. Canales.
So for the personnel matters, for the employment of personnel, no action. Resignations, no action. And the deliberation regarding the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer or employee under Texas Government Code 551.074 and 551.071, no action.
On item B?
No action. On the deliberation regarding acquisition of real property, Texas Government Code 551.072.
And on the consultation with attorney regarding the litigation on student versus Weslaco Independent School District or Special Education Officer, docket number 220-SE-0320.
I move to accept the recommendation of the superintendent and the school's attorney and direct the superintendent and the school's attorney to proceed as discussed in closed session concerning student versus Weslaco Independent School District before a special education hearing officer for the state of Texas, docket number 219-SE-0320.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Los Santos and a second by Mr. Nieto. Is there any discussion?
Just one clarification. This item is 220-SE-0320. It may have been written down in reverse order. But to clarify, that's your motion with regard to the 220-SE-0320.
Yes.
Okay. So we stand corrected, and I have a motion by Mr. Dos Santos and a second by Mr. Nieto. Do we have any discussion? If not, we'll take it to a vote. Mr. Nieto?
Aye.
Mrs. Sustaita is not with us. Costelvino?
Aye.
Mr. Dos Santos?
Aye.
Mr. Gonzalez?
Aye.
Let's see, Dr. Jaime?
Aye.
Motion carries. And on the student versus Weslaco Independent School District before Special Education Officer for State of Texas, docket number 219-SE-0320.
Move to accept the recommendation of the superintendent and the school's attorney and direct the superintendent and the school's attorney to proceed as discussed in closed session concerning student versus Weslaco Independent School District before a special education hearing officer for the state of Texas, docket number 219-SE-0320.
Do I have a Mr. Nieto? Mr. Nieto, second. We have a motion by Mr. Los Santos and a second by Mr. Nieto for the student versus Weslaco Independent School District for Special Education Officer for the state of Texas, docket number 219-SE-0320. Any discussion? I move for your vote of approval. Mr. Los Santos?
Aye.
Mr. Nieto?
Aye.
Dr. Rodriguez?
Aye.
Jose Trevino?
Aye.
Mr. Gonzalez?
Aye.
Motion carries. And I don't think we have anything else.
Motion to adjourn.
Do we motion to adjourn? Okay, we are adjourned. The time now is 9:32.